So there are three common beginner fat loss mistakes that I see people make all the time on their fitness journey that are holding them back from achieving amazing results. And in this video, I want to show you what those mistakes are so you never make them and you are on your way to achieving your best physique ever. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Mario Tomic, and if you'd like to know more about topics such as fitness, nutrition, personal development, and the science behind it all, if you're a nerd like me, then consider subscribing and also hit that bell icon as well to enable notifications and then get notified when new videos come out. And now let's dive into it. Beginner fat loss mistake number one. Beginners tend to focus way too much on their nutrition and they don't focus enough on their training, because beginners tend to go to the mainstream fitness advice, which says that abs are made in the kitchen, you need to go keto, low carb, cut out sugar, cut out certain foods, or go on certain crash diets. And often they use these models that have a well-developed physique. And so the beginner thinks, well, if I want to look like that muscular, lean individual on that cover or in that post on social media, I should definitely just focus on this diet that they're claiming to get them there. Now, what the beginner doesn't realize is that that person presenting the diet or whatever advice there is that they've probably invested half a decade or a decade in building their body in the gym doing resistance training. So the physique that they have is not just a result of losing weight, but it's also a result of having more muscle mass at a lean body fat percentage. And this is the critical disconnect that a lot of mainstream doesn't think about or focus on, because this is a hard sell. Tell people that they actually need to work hard in the gym and build muscle. And a lot of beginners neglect this. And of course, nutrition is very important, and it's kind of half of the truth. We need to be in a caloric deficit to lose weight. You need to do that to get to a certain goal weight, which is a good goal weight for you. But if you don't take care of the resistance training side of things, you will actually make the diet much longer. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're losing weight and you have 30 pounds to lose. If you're losing all of that in body fat, you're actually going to get your goal much quicker than if you're losing 50-50, 50% fat, 50% muscle. And actually, it's very common with beginners that don't do a lot of resistance training, or they didn't do proper resistance training, they do a lot of cardio, is that they will lose a lot of muscle mass in the process of getting to a goal weight. And then the goal weight is not going to be the same goal anymore, because now they have to lose even more because they haven't actually lost the 30 pounds of body fat yet. They need to even go in a lower weight to get there. And this is why it's so critical to focus on progressive resistance training if you want to, first off, make the diet as the most efficient diet as possible, because the most efficient diet is the one that gets rid of body fat and retains almost all the muscle mass, and in fact, even builds some muscle mass. So that should be the goal. And then the second thing is that once you get to that goal, that you actually have a physique that you can be happy with. And a lot of people, then they get into a diet, they lose the 30 pounds, but they end up still having a lot of body fat at the end because they haven't managed to change their body composition and they haven't actually managed to build any muscle. So they're still not happy when they reach that goal weight, and they still have to invest more and more time into dieting, or actually now they're completely lost, and a lot of people regain because they get discouraged now going from being skinny fat to a little bit less skinny fat, and I was just looking a bit more skinnier. So it's not a really good situation to be in. And so don't make this beginner mistake where you're just focused on the diet side of things, what you eat, how much you eat, when you eat, and all that good stuff, but also invest time in discovering what is the best resistance training protocol for you so you can build muscle, and so to make the diet very efficient, but also to actually build that body that you can be really proud of and that looks fantastic, that you feel good about the whole situation, that actually you're much more efficient because you're actually going to be able to eat much more. And long-term investment in building muscle is amazing because you don't have to actually go to such a low body weight to be at a certain level of body fat. You can actually stay at a much higher body weight if you have a lot of muscle mass. Beginner mistake number two. Beginners tend to get bought into one specific approach and they don't want to change it or experiment with anything else. This is very common with the low carb approach. I see many beginners that are just starting out and they're trying hundreds of different versions of this low carb approach while it just doesn't work for them. They can see themselves doing it long term, but because they kind of started with the low carb, that's the most familiar thing, and then they just stay with that. As a beginner, one of your biggest assets is just to have that beginner's mind, that ability to look at all the options, look at the big picture. I mean, you don't have any investment of decades and decades in a certain approach like a lot of experts have after being in a field for 30, 40 years. They're very biased. Now, you as a beginner who's just starting out, be open to all approaches. Maybe you want to try some intermittent fasting. Like, it works great for me, for a lot of my clients as well. It may not be the low carb that is the best for you. So if it doesn't work after several months or 6 months, let's say, try to switch things up a little bit, move things around, learn more about nutrition, and be open-minded. Don't get just bought into that keto dogma and buy all the keto supplements, buy all the food replacements, all the keto snacks and keto shirts, and put keto in your Instagram bio or whatever people do nowadays. Be more open-minded about it. You don't have to settle on a certain tribe, and don't fall for that feeling that you need to belong to a certain tribe. Be open to everything, learn a little bit from everywhere, and really find out what works best for your body, because then for the long term, you're gonna know what works best, and you're gonna actually be able to stick with it, and it's gonna be sustainable for life. So now we're down to our final mistake, and that is the beginner fat loss mistake number 3. Actually, not only beginners make this mistake, but a lot of intermediate and even advanced lifters, and that is that they're not tracking their progress with their nutrition and their training. Because beginners think they can just wing it, and they can just set a certain amount of foods to eat, or that they can just go to the gym and best things will happen, which is not the case. And if you're not tracking and measuring, it becomes really difficult to stick to the process, because you don't know if the process is working or not. And it's just this vagueness about it that is really hard to even motivate you, because you don't know if you're getting results. And then if you eventually step on the scale after months of effort, and if it didn't work out as well, you are completely clueless what to change, and you're not even in the mindset of changing, because you're just not measuring things. And it's all about now, oh, I failed and I can't really do this and it's not for me, and you just train yourself to be a failure. Instead, if you're measuring and tracking, you're thinking more of like a software engineer about the whole process, because you're thinking about iteration. If I measure this, and if I found something that is wrong with my system, if I see that something's not working, well, now I'm going to change something. So you can actually measure the input and the output. You think more of like an engineer rather than, okay, it's black and white, either fail or I succeed, and there's no changes. So you're stuck in this very fixed mindset. And not tracking is just a massive mistake, because it adds an extra maybe 1% of time that you need to invest on top of everything that you're doing so far, but it can mean the difference between getting the result and not getting a result. So the potential exposure, the risk of not tracking is huge, and the benefit is very minor, because you're just avoiding a little bit of extra inconvenience, since you're already putting in the effort. You're already doing your food, you're eating the right stuff, you're training, you're doing a lot of good things, and because you're not tracking and measuring, you don't even know what's working and what's not. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of beginners are stuck and they're kind of clueless and paralyzed of what to do next, is that they just don't measure anything. They don't know what the weight was that they used last time in the gym. If they do a new weight or an extra rep this time, this workout, they don't know that it's a PR, so they can't even measure that and celebrate that, because they don't even know that it's a PR. Same with the diet. If you're not measuring your averages throughout the week, maybe literally the one day you step on the scale, that was a high day, and all the other days were low days, and then you get demoralized, you think it's not working. Again, you start identifying yourself as failure, instead of just looking at it more of as a data-driven individual, more like a software engineer, and just iterating. Okay, what can I do better? What can I optimize? Where are those bugs that I can fix? And this is the type of approach that I see a lot with clients that is really, really successful, because we do quite a lot of self-monitoring. We turn humans almost into a machine in a one way, because we measure every little bit to make sure that everything is optimized to the highest, most potential. And I think as a beginner, you don't need to do that much as to just confirm that things that you're doing are working or not. You don't need to obsess about optimizing absolutely everything, but it's still a good idea to track at least your food intake, just so you have a rough idea what's going on. Track your body weight, just to have a rough idea what's going on. And also especially your training. As I said in mistake number 1, if you're not being progressive with your training, if you're not getting stronger, if you don't know whether you're getting stronger or not, this is a huge problem. So if you track, if you measure, if you commit to that, it's going to have a huge payoff on your journey. And that's where I'm going to end it. These were the 3 mistakes. Thank you for watching the video. Comment below if you'd like me to do a second follow-up on this. Comment mistakes in the section below, because then I'm going to do a follow-up. I'm going to do second part of this series. I'm going to give you more mistakes that I see beginners and intermediates make. Other than that, hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in the next video.